Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back with another video and I am showing you the March and April pages in my 2025 reading journal. So I originally wanted to do these videos monthly, but January and February caught up with me and I ended up doing them in a joint video. Then March and April caught up with me, and now I'm doing them in a joint video. So it looks like these videos are going to be bi-monthly. So this is my 2025 reading journal. I do have a video on my channel of me setting this journal up. If you do want to see that, I'll try and link it in the description. Can't promise I'll remember, but you can find it on my channel. It is the most watched video I've ever had on my channel. So thank you so much if you already watched that video. It means loads to me that you wanted to see the process of me setting this up. So to kind of go through a quick update since March, I have read, I think, another book since then. I'm on 31 now, but I've currently read 31 books. My target was 50. I have got room in my pages to read, to mark 80. I am very confident I will read more than 80 books. So I think before I start this reading log, I will add in a page. I can get 20 books to a page, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 books to a page. So if I slot one page in, I'll get another 40, which gives me an option to mark 120 books. I might not need it, but I'd rather have it than write in, like, I'll know probably when I get to 60 books if I need to add a page in. So I can do that if I need to. I have also updated our Peaches and Pages log. So Peaches and Pages is the book club that I run. March's book was The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Qureshi, which I gave 3.5 stars. It was chosen by our members, Karina and Sarah. It was recommended twice. And April's book was Next of Kin by Bonam-Young, which was chosen by Lisa, which I gave 4 stars. Also got some other books by this author that I definitely want to read, so that was a great recommendation. May's book is in here too. It is The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings, but I'll talk about that in the May-June video. Then I have updated my book of the month. So book of the month for March was If the Ring Fits by Camilla Isley. Really, really loved this book. It got me on a bit of a billionaire romance kind of trawl. I was kind of finding them, hunting them out. Actually just zoom in a bit. And then book of the month for April was The Right Move by Tomforde. I read 4 of the 5 Windy City books during April. The Right Move is number 2 in the series. Absolutely loved this book. It was by far my book of the month. Then I have also updated my book of the year. So my book of the year basically is a bracket, and what I've decided to do is mark book of the month, and then here we have like a tie off. So we have January versus February, March versus April, May versus June, July versus August, September versus October, and November versus December. And then basically these, like, this one here is the winner of these 2, and this one here is the winner of those 2, and so on. That's how I'm doing the book bracket. So my book of March versus April was The Right Move by Tomforde. I do pick this by rating. So the highest score for me on the Peach rating system, which is the rating system I've adopted for this year, which was by Erin Smith, who is Erin Smith Art on Instagram and Erin Smith on YouTube. I go by the highest score. So my score converts to a star rating, but it actually gets a number score. And it goes by that. If there are more than one book with the same score, then I pick. So yeah, I've updated my book bracket. I will be amazed if Onyx Storm is not my book of the year. It's just set a precedent that I'm not entirely sure anybody is going to meet. I have marked other books 5 stars. I have given other books full marks. So The Right Move was a 25 out of 25 for me. I do not love it more than I loved Onyx Storm. So, I mean, authors, go for it. You want to try and test the theory? I'm happy for you to. If you think you've got a book that I will love more than Onyx Storm, put it in the comments, throw it at me. I'm all for it. You know, I'm not precious to Rebecca Yarros. Someone wants to test the theory, I'm all for it. So please let me know. But I mean, I'll be amazed if somebody gives me a book that I love more than Onyx Storm. I think it's a given, to be honest. I may as well just fill it in now. But no, I'm going to be good. I'm going to follow the process. Yeah, so I filled in my book of the year. This is the rating system. So like I say, Erin devised this. It's plot, enjoyment, artistry, characters and heart. I score each one out of 5 and then that gives me a star rating. I've still not DNF'd a book. I almost did in May. I almost did this month, but I didn't. I persevered and I'm glad I did. I'll talk about that in the next video, but still nothing in the DNF cemetery. I really, really want to DNF a book to put it in the DNF cemetery. Life is too short to read bad books. That is my motto for this year. I just not found a book bad enough to not want to finish it. Like, I feel like once I've committed to a book, it's hard to let it go. Does anybody feel that? Like, the book that I actually read in May, I got to like 30% and was tempted to DNF it. And I was like, I'll just give it 10 more percent. And by the time I got to 40%, it was like all in. And I was like, yes. It took such a long time, like almost half of the book to build the world. That's just, I must have been feeling patient. So yeah, not hated a book enough to DNF it yet. Anyway, so on to my March pages. So as always, there will be spoilers in the writing on the pages, but there will not be spoilers in my voiceover. So if you do not want any spoilers of the books that I have read that I will talk about, please do not read what is on the screen. I did get a complaint after my first video, despite giving the warning. Nathan, if you're watching, I know it was you. You complained that there were spoilers in the pages. I did warn, don't read the pages if you don't want to know. But yeah, I really love my March and April cover pages. I totally got into this kind of background using my zebra mild liners to do this kind of check on the background. Really love that, and I use the Spring Picnic Journaling Kit from Plannerface. I do pee off Plannerface, there are details in the description, and also my beloved bubble letters. If you've watched any of my recent journaling videos, you will know that these have become my entire life. I pleaded with Anna to make these for me, and she did, and now I can't live without them. I adore them. So yeah, totally love this. So during March, I read 9 books. It was my highest read month, actually, and I think still is. I don't think I read that many books in April. I read 9 books by 7 authors. I read 3,639 pages, and my average star rating was 4.3. It was a good month for books. So the first 2 books I read were the completion of a series that I started in February. I read Hex and the City and Hex and Hexability by Kate Johnson. These books were bang average, I'll be completely honest. These are basically about witches, and there is like a common kind of theme throughout of a character, I believe. And yeah, do you know what? I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you. I'm kind of skim reading this now. Yeah, I think this is about a witch living in a city. Obviously, you know, and the city. And this one I do remember more. This one is about a witch kind of in the olden days. She's a lady in society. The main character in this book was called Theophania Worthington. My daughter is called Theodora Worthington, and I could not get over the fact that the main character's name was so close. I'm pretty sure they also had the same middle name. I'm sure she was called Theophania Rose Worthington, and my daughter's called Theodora Rose Worthington. Yeah, just could not believe it. I was honestly absolutely bamboozled by that, and it said it on the first page, and I was like, this is incredible. I kind of would say this is like Bridgerton with a witch. That's what it was given for me. It was the best of the books, I would say, but not a series I would recommend, if I'm honest. It just wasn't my thing. I know it's got good ratings, but yeah, can't even really tell you much more about these books, kind of like I say, without any spoilers or reading my own reviews that I wrote, because yeah, I just don't remember. They weren't very memorable. I then read Full Measures by Rebecca Yarros. This is about a young girl whose dad is in the army and he passes away, and it is about basically her getting through that grief and kind of, you know, how she maneuvers life. I did give it 5 stars. It scored 24 out of 25 for me on the Peach rating system. Really loved it. Variation was the first one, which you can read about, you can hear about in my January-February video. Loved that too. Anyway, moving on. If the Ring Fits by Camilla Isley was my March book of the month, and also I really love this book. It scored 24.5 out of 25. I have cut through my page here, which is just beyond devastating. I was doing some things around the Baby Dragon Cafe on the page behind, and I just accidentally just went too hard with my craft knife. But it's fine. It's not in a position where it's going to affect the page. So I don't just want to like stick some sellotape over it and ruin the review, because to be honest, when I hold it down like that, you can't even tell. But this is about a character who finds herself to be pregnant, and the billionaire is looking for a fake wife. And yeah, it's got some amazing tropes in this book from the beginning. There's quite a few. I do love all of Camilla Isley's billionaire romances. Are they called the True Love series? That I read in 2024. They're fantastic. A lot of Camilla's books are on Kindle Unlimited, so if you do have KU, definitely recommend them. This is definitely on KU. This book was fantastic. I really, really loved the whole premise of it, and it just felt very natural. What I also really liked was at the beginning, there is kind of like a flash forward to the future, and it then takes you on the story of how we get back to that point, which, yeah, you just don't see it coming. So yeah, really, really love this book. Highly recommend. There was also a reference to the True Love. It's 3 books in the series. So I really like that as well, because I felt like it was a nice connection to that world. This is part of a new series, the name of which I cannot remember, but yeah, really love this book. And like I say, it was March's book of the month. So then I went on to read The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Qureshi, which was March's Peaches and Pages book club. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit devastated. So this was on my 2025 anticipated reads. I've only actually read 2 of my anticipated reads. I'm waiting for them to be reduced on Kindle. I can't pay like £15 for a Kindle book. I did pay £14 for Onyx Storm, but that was because I needed it. Different rules apply for that. But The Baby Dragon Cafe is the only one that's kind of gone down to like below £5, and I really just don't want to pay like £10 for a Kindle book, because honestly the paperbacks are cheaper, and I think I may as well just get the paperback, but I really struggle to read physical books. But I was really disappointed in this book. I'm a bit devastated. I had really high hopes for this book. Loved the plot. It's about a girl who owns a cafe. The world is kind of dragons are pets or members of family. That's very common. They're called dragon families, and baby dragons are barred from most establishments within the town because they are effectively like toddlers. They're unpredictable. They breathe fire when they're playing. You know, they cause damage. But she specifically wanted to open this cafe where baby dragons could be able to attend. And she meets a member of the community who has a baby dragon, and she starts training him. And it is the story of that. I just felt like it was really repetitive. I really, really struggled with the writing style. It was really average. I felt really underwhelmed, but the repetitivity of it just really got to me. I just felt like sometimes I had to check that like I'd actually swiped the page on the Kindle. But we discussed this in the group for Peaches and Pages, and some people really loved it. Some people kind of felt the same. A lot of people didn't notice the repetitivity, and I feel like it depends on how you read. Do you read to read, or do you read to get into a story? It affects me how an author writes. That affects how much I enjoy or don't enjoy a book. And yeah, it scored 18 out of 25 for me. It scored 3.6, which is a 3.5 stars. I have decided to DNF the series. I'm not going to read the rest of the series. It's one in a number of books. The rest haven't been released yet, but I think one is due out kind of back end of this year. And it's about kind of the establishments. But yeah, just wasn't feeling it, if I'm honest, but it does have good reviews, you know, each to their own. I'm not saying it's a bad book. It wasn't a bad book. I didn't DNF it. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, I couldn't have DNF'd it if I wanted to, because it was a Peaches and Pages book, and I can't DNF a Peaches and Pages book. And the reason I can't do that is because I run the book club, and I have to have read the book in order to ask questions and discuss the book, I feel. So I can never DNF a Peaches and Pages book. However, I wouldn't have DNF'd it anyway. It just wasn't, I think I just had high expectations and they didn't really come through. After that, I read The Launch Date by Annabelle Slator. I think this popped up on a Kindle deal. It was like 99p. or it might have been one that a friend recommended. It's about two characters who are both fighting for a promotion at work, and they basically have to work together in order to complete their presentations. They have to kind of go on fake dates. So if you like the fake dating trope, that's definitely in there. It wasn't terrible. I did enjoy the book. It wasn't amazing. I found it a bit predictable, if I'm honest. I predicted the end from the beginning. I don't particularly like that in a book. I like to be surprised, or at least for there to be a twist that I didn't see coming, even if the end still turns out that way. I just found this book very predictable. But it did score 3.5 stars, and I would recommend reading it. Like I say, it's got some cute tropes in. So if you're into, like, you know, the fake dates kind of thing, enemies to lovers, workplace romance, any of that kind of thing, then that probably will be one for you. Next, I read 2 books. I have fallen in love with this author. Lyra Parish is fantastic. I gave both these books 5 stars. So the first one was The Wife Situation, and the second one is The Friend Situation. Very recently, the third book, The Boss Situation, has released, and next month, The Bodyguard Situation is releasing book 4 in the series. I think they're 6, going all the way to March 2026. Really, really love these classic billionaire romances. They are about a billionaire and a girl who kind of he meets, and the story carries on. So this is Eastern Story, this is Western Story. They are twin billionaires. And The Boss Situation, which is the third book, which I do have read in May, is about their younger sister. So it follows, it follows the Calloway family. Really, really love this book. This is fake marriage, and this is not fake, fake dating, not fake marriage, I suppose. Don't really want to say too much without giving the plots away, but really recommend these if you love a billionaire romance. They are classic billionaire romances. The only issue I had with these books is that they do use the C word, and it's extremely rare that I tolerate the C word in a book. It instantly loses points for me. So you'll see that both of them scored a 4 on artistry. That's because they both use the C word. I just cannot tolerate the word at all. And it's used throughout. So bit upsetting for me, who personally finds that offensive. However, the stories are great, really well written. I am very much tied in to reading this entire series. Like I say, I've already read the 3rd book during May, so you'll hear about that in the next video. You'll also probably have heard about the 4th book by then, because that video will be May, June, and the 4th book's out in June. I've got it in my calendar. They're on KU, again, Kindle Unlimited, so if you're into a billionaire romance, definitely check those out. Then the final book I read in March was Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. So I'm pretty sure Emily from Wisporia recommended these books to me. She recommended the Lyra Parish and Lauren Asher. This is the first book in a series. Again, it's billionaire romance. The If the Ring Fits by Camilla Isley set me off on a billionaire romance thing, and I was just like, I want to read all the billionaire romances. This book was very cute. It's about childhood friends who become enemies, and they look to build a house together. He is a property developer, she is an interior designer, and they kind of go into business together in building this house, and it's the story of this. I was really, really into this book. Like, I felt very connected to it. I read it after I read 2 really good books, so maybe that's why it scored a little bit lower. It scored 4.4, which is a 4.5 star for me. There was use of the C word again, so it did lose marks for that. And I didn't love it as much to mark it down, like, only by 1 mark, so it lost marks elsewhere. But I've not read the next book in the series. It is available. It's out. It was out when I read this. This is the Lakefront Billionaires series, and the second book is Love Unwritten. I haven't read that yet. It's not shouting at me, I'll be honest. I might read it. It depends. I don't know. The rest of the series isn't out, so nothing's really forcing me to read it, but I don't think I've definitely not DNF'd the series. I don't absolutely think, no, I don't want to read that. it's just not, I'm not like, oh my goodness, I need to read it now, if that makes sense. So yeah, they were all the books I read in March, and now we are on to April. I loved this whole setup for April. April is my birthday month, and I basically tied in like some of my favourite things. So I used a Josephine Bow Designs journaling kit. I do PR for Josephine Bow, so there are descriptions in info in the description. And then I used these really cute like celebratory stickers from Oh Hello Feelings Co. And then a tiny bit of washi tape. I'm not sure where this is from, but it's got little Mickey heads on, and I did go to Disney in April, so I kind of like tied in. Then these were my stats. So I read 7 books by 4 authors, 2,894 pages, and my average rating was 4.5 stars. So again, a good month for reading. And Liz Tomforde is primarily responsible. So 4 of the 7 books were by Liz Tomforde. The Windy City series has totally stolen my heart. I've got 2 days left to wait for the final book in the series, Rio's story, and I cannot wait. But kind of a bit of a warning about this series. So what I would say is the first book, really, really weird, because I was actually talking to Kat, Peaceful Plan, about this today. That Kat kind of put a YouTube video up recently where she was saying that if the one of the main characters is you know a bit of a jerk, they have to redeem themselves. I don't feel like the main male character in this book redeems himself. I think he's cruel. I don't think he's cruel, no, that's harsh. I don't think he's cruel. I think he means well, but is a little bit mean about it. And I don't think he redeems himself enough. There are some themes throughout this. It's basically a sports romance. And Xander's is a hockey player, and he meets Stevie, who is an air hostess for his team. They have a private plane, you know, to travel, and she is recruited by the team to be an air hostess. This book scored 5 stars for me. I think all of them did. Yes, they all did. I read them 4 in a row, and they all scored 5 stars. Only one of them scored full marks. There is, I'm pretty sure, use of the C word in a number of these books. I don't know if there is in the first one, but there definitely is in the second one onwards. I've heard loads about this series, and it really didn't disappoint me. I feel like this setup in this book was fantastic. I don't know if Liz Tomforde knew that she was going to write a series when she wrote this. I don't know, I don't know if she had plans, but she set up the world amazingly in this book, and it did not come across as a world building book, if that makes sense. The story of Xander's and Stevie was just fantastic, but if you're into enemies to lovers, sports romance, this one's hockey, then definitely one for you. It was really enjoyable. It was so fun. I really fell in love with so many of the characters. So yeah, that was Mile High by Liz Tomforde. I then read the second book in the series, which was The Right Move, which, as I mentioned earlier, was my April book of the month. This scored full marks for me, despite the fact that it mentions the C word. So as I mentioned before, it takes a lot for me to forgive that in a book. A lot. But I am beyond in love with these characters. Honestly, I'm so in love with this book. So this book is about Ryan and Indy. This is their story. Ryan is a basketball player, so this is basketball sports romance. And Indy is again an air hostess. So yeah, just really, really love this book. Ryan is the twin of Stevie, who is from book 1. So you do kind of need to read them in order to get the stories behind them. Also, do beware, the epilogues do have spoilers in them for future books. Not spoilers as in of the stories, but spoilers as in like how things go. So just beware of that if you do read them. But this story was really, really beautiful. I mean, the first line of my review, which I will read out, is I literally laughed, giggled and awed at this book. I loved it. There was continuation of Xander's and Stevie. It was fantastic. Yeah, really, really love this book of the month. I was a bit worried, I have to say, that the following 2 books and the third book, which is due out in a couple of days from me filming this, would not kind of stand up for me compared to this book, but do keep reading because it's just, they're all so different but so similar, if that makes sense. So I went on to book 3 after I'd read The Right Move, which is caught up again. Same author, same series, and this is Baseball Small Romance. So this is the story of Miller and Kai. You do meet Kai in, I think, The Right Move or Mile High. Like I say, all the characters are intertwined. And yeah, this is Miller and Kai's story. Miller is the daughter of the coach for the team that Kai plays for. And that is their story. So yeah, that's again, really recommend this entire series. And then finally, I read book 4, which is Play Along, and this is Isaiah and Kennedy's story. And Isaiah is the brother of Kai. So again, continuation. Yeah, really, really loved. Kennedy works for the team, the baseball team that Kai and Isaiah play for. So that's how they know each other. And the final story, which is called Rewind It Back, is Rio's story. Rio is my favourite character from this entire series. I just cannot wait to read his story. Tuesday night, that's all I'm doing with my life. I'm going to try and read the book in a night because I don't feel like I'll be able to even consider putting it down. So yeah, 4 5-star books for me. Really recommend. Again, this is baseball, sports romance. So we've got a hockey, a basketball, and baseball. Rio is hockey. So yeah, he plays for the same team that Xander's plays for. So we're kind of going back. Well, we're going back to the beginning, which is Rewind It Back, I suppose. So yeah. I then read a short story. This is an Amazon original short story. It's called The One That Got Away by Mike Gayle. This book came to me on an Amazon early read deal. So I get early read deals from Amazon. I'm pretty sure everyone gets them if you subscribe to emails or if you have KU, or I don't know how I get them, but I just get them in my emails once a month. And the main character, one of the 2 main characters was called Beth, so kind of drew me in a little bit. This was so rushed. It's basically about a couple who separate and the couple finds out that his ex-girlfriend's getting married and the story goes from there. It's a very short story. It was very underwhelming. It felt very rushed. I've read short stories before, a number of short stories. I've read many books kind of under 300 pages. I've read many, many books under 100 pages. This one is, I think, 100 pages exactly, or maybe just under. It just felt so rushed, and I've never felt a short story feel this rushed before. I felt where I would like want them to go on, but this just seemed to jump so much. I felt like I was jumping through time. And it's the story of a day. So it's literally from morning to evening in this book. It gives you a bit of world building. It builds the world for you. But then this story is the story of one day. I felt like I was jumping around in time. Like it just felt very rushed. Wasn't really feeling it. It also felt like, I felt like one of the characters was a little bit entitled. And that didn't really do it for me. I don't like characters that kind of come across as entitled and don't redeem themselves. But yeah, this author is very well thought of, I have read. Maybe I just need to read some of their other works. Because yeah, this one was just average for me. Okay, so next up I read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I have never read any books by B.K. Borison, but I have heard about many of them. Really don't like this writing on here, by the way. I wish I'd have done that neater. I scored this book 4 stars. It is the story of Aidan and Lucy. And Aidan is a radio host and Lucy is a mechanic. And Lucy's daughter rings up for Aidan's show, which is basically about dating, trying to get her some help, and that is how the story plays out. Lucy is a single mum, but she's very good friends with her daughter's dad, and I really, really love that element of it. It doesn't give that whole, we're not together anymore and this is tragic. So, you know, a lot of stories, understandably, because a lot of marriages do play out that way, that if marriages separate, they're not always on amicable terms. But this was a relationship that separated on amicable terms, and I really, really love the character that Maya is the daughter that Maya's dad plays in this book. He's really quite pivotal for me, I think. So I really, really love that. It was a great story. I feel like this book didn't really get its justice because I read it as I was travelling to Paris, and I was kind of dealing with Theodora, and we were all very excited, and it maybe didn't get its due. Maybe if I'd have read it while I was at home, it might have felt more... I might have enjoyed it more if I wasn't more excited about something else, if that makes sense. Like, for me, circumstantial reading is important. Like, it has an effect on how I see a book. So yeah, but would definitely recommend it. I have recommended it to friends. Like I say, it was a 4-star. It was a slow read, but I do think that that's because I had other things going on. Not necessarily any reflection of the book. So I would recommend that. Next up, I read Next of Kin by Hannah Bonam-Young. Was this the last book of the month? Yes, it was. So this was the last book of the month for me, and this was the Peaches and Pages book. I loved this book. I scored it 4 stars. Kat, Peace Love Plan, again, this was one of her 5-star reads, I think, for 2024. She loved this book. It was one of her books of the year. It is about a man and a woman who are basically trying to get adoptive custody of their relatives. So basically, I'd heard about this from Kat's book, and I was really happy when it came out. The male character is trying to adopt or get custody of his 15-year-old brother, and the female character is trying to get custody of her newborn baby half-sister. And yeah, basically they have to go through obviously rigorous interviews and, you know, tests and stuff like that in order to gain custody. And the female character does not pass the financial test, and the male character does not pass the housing test. So he has not got a big enough house, and she does not earn enough money. And basically they get put through a program that means that they end up together living in a house with their adoptive siblings. And it's the story of how that plays out. It's a really, really lovely book. I would just kind of caveat it with the fact that it does have sensitive topics, so definitely kind of have a bit of a research on that before you read it. There is topics of things like alcoholism and stuff like that. It gave me a bit of fear, if I'm honest. Like, through the book I was kind of constantly worried, for want of a better phrase, which kind of maybe didn't make me not enjoy the reading experience, but does obviously affect the reading experience. None of the topics, you know, were triggering to me, but they may be triggering to other people. So it's just a heads up that if there are triggering topics for you, please do some research on them before you read the book. But it was a fantastic book, and I am very excited to read. There are, I think, 3 other books out by this author. So there's Next to You, Out of the Woods, and Out on a Limb. I don't know if there's any others as part of this kind of collection. They're not a series, they are all standalone books. However, there are cross characters, I have been told. So maybe just there is a guidance on which order to read them in, although they are not a series. So maybe just bear that in mind if you're considering starting the books. But yeah, so Next of Kin by Hannah Bonam-Young was my final book of the month for April, and I am now on to May. This is my May setup. I am all ready to go. We are midway through May at the minute, and I am 3 books in, I think. I think it's 3 books in. Let's double check. Where's my reading log? Yes, 4 books in. I'm 4 books into May. So yeah, that is my March and April overview of my reading journal. So I really hope that you enjoyed going through that with me, and I'm excited to talk to you about my May and June reads. I hope you liked this video. If you did, I'd love if you could give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see future videos, I'd love if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye!